Hey guys, Coach Brian here, and I am here with a good friend and special guest, fellow Nike Master Trainer, Max Artsis.
Nailed it.
I got it down 17 tries later. Who's here with me today. I'm excited. We get to dive deep. We get to connect, talk shop, talk business, talk fitness industry. I know, Max, you have a lot of insight from your background, and I would love for you just to share a little bit about your background from the industry standpoint, school, life.
Yeah. Grew up in LA. My dad was a bodybuilder, so I had that aspect
Like
throughout my
professional
entire life.
bodybuilder?
Yeah.
Really?
He was a beast.
Yeah.
That was huge. And then it was funny because he would always wake me up at like 6 or 7 in the morning when I'm like 9 years old to go work out. I'm like, Dad, stop. Like, I just want to be a child. Joke's on me. Now I'm a personal trainer.
Yeah.
So, I
Is he
guess
still into
worked.
it?
It worked. Yeah. Loves it.
Was he a train? Is he now? Was he a
Yeah.
trainer?
Yeah, he trains now. Which
No
is
way.
Super awesome.
And still into
And,
bodybuilding?
Not as much. Much more into functional type stuff, which is great.
Okay.
But
And you're born and raised where?
Los Angeles,
Okay. Valley.
the Valley. I'm a Valley boy.
You're a Valley boy. My
Yeah.
mom's a Valley girl.
What part?
Chatsworth.
Dude, I've lived in Chatsworth for like 13 years.
That's great. I think you mentioned
Yeah.
that on the phone.
Yeah.
When I was like 818. That's the Valley number.
Yeah.
And then you go to school
Mhm.
in Michigan. Is
Yes,
that
sir.
right out of high school?
University of Michigan.
Got it. And here's a fun fact: you're a
Acting major.
acting major.
Yeah, I was in the acting
And
conservatory of Michigan. Yeah, I sing, play the piano.
I saw that. He's an excellent pianist, correct?
Yes.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. And then, so tell me about that. What did you always want to do? Did you always want to get into, did you always want to be an actor? Why that?
You know, I love being on stage. I love being able to talk to large groups of people. I think it's amazing. You know, someone actually said to me when I was still there, they were like, when are you going to get a real job? And I remember saying to them that I feel like acting was one of the only real jobs in existence. Because we created everything.
Mm-hmm.
But what we didn't create is human connection and our emotions. And so I loved every single night being able to go out and go through every emotion possible that we were intended to do.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for people that don't.
Yeah. And you still do it, you're
I
still
love
doing
it.
it.
Yeah, I love
You're
it.
acting, and you live in Portland.
Yeah.
And tell us about, you go to school, acting,
Come back to LA.
do the acting.
Yeah, I did
thing
all
in LA?
that, and I actually went through. Had a role, and I had a personal trainer for that role. And he, I'd always been into sports and athletics, but I had never, really owned my craft in my body. And he changed everything for me. The confidence that I grew through changing my entire body changed every other aspect of my life. And so it was then that I realized I had to do that for other people.
So it's interesting, right? Because your dad is really into the fitness industry,
Mhm.
and then would you say a big part of it was this personal trainer, this coach that you had then, that really just kind of was a tipping point for you to get into it?
Yeah, like I'd always rebelled against it, as any kid does. And, as you grow older, you start to realize the things that matter, and your health is wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of clicked for me. And he was someone that I really related to. I think it helped having someone that wasn't my dad, barking it at me.
Yeah.
But it was someone that I related to. I went out, and he became one of my best friends and one of my mentors. Yeah.
And when did you feel? And when did you feel that shift happened, where you felt like, maybe it's not acting that I want to do full time. I want to get into helping people, inspiring people to live a healthier life.
Yeah, I think I always knew it. I just didn't know how it would manifest itself. We kind of talked a little bit about this earlier in terms of one of my favorite things about acting is being able to move people and being able to affect people in a real way. And I get to do that every single day.
Yeah.
So it was a really, really easy transition for me.
I love it. And you're also fun fact, the Wiz with the insurance. Let's talk about that.
Oh, man.
Right.
Not one of my prouder moments, but hey, you got to do what
but
you got to do.
such an amazing
man.
part of the journey right now.
Yeah.
Why I want to talk about this, because this was insightful to me when we had a chance to talk about this today, because it dials into, you go into start off with something that you're really passionate about with acting, and then from there you get inspired, and you take this, really the root of just knowing you in the short amount of time. I really wanted to inspire people and connect with them. You do that proactively in a way of personal training. And then along the ways, we feel like, oh, I don't know if this can be something that's long term. We hear I can't tell you how many hundreds of times I heard of people, oh, when are you going to get a real job? Just
absolutely.
probably in acting as you do in personal training, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we go out and think that in the world and saying, oh, I should probably get a real job.
Yeah, it was one of those things where, you know, at that point in my life, I was driven by money.
Yeah.
I wanted to make it. And my boss was making like, I don't know, like $30,000 a month in residuals.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like 35. So I was like, oh, shit, I'll just do that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's great. I'll do
Yeah.
that. And I got into there and I had to do 300 cold calls a day. I had to canvas 20 random businesses a day. I had to move and shake my way through, and I won a lot of sales awards, which was awesome. And I was good at it, like we talked about. Sometimes you're good at things that you don't really love.
Yeah.
But I wasn't truly passionate behind what it was that I did. And there was actually a tipping point for that job for me. Someone came in and started talking to us, and he said that he wanted to speak to me because I sold him a cancer policy. And when you buy a cancer policy through Aflac, which is where I worked, they cover your children for free. And because they never want you to ever have to make the decision as to whether or not I'm going to cover the rest of my family, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
And he never even thought he would have to use it the way he did, but his child got diagnosed. And in the hospital that she went to, there was 2 different wings. One was where the parents could come in and out throughout the day. And one was where parents couldn't because they had to work. And they knew that the 2 had to be separated because if they knew that they existed, it would impede their progress.
Yeah.
And he told me that because of the insurance policy that I sold him, he was able to see his daughter every single day while she was there.
Yeah.
And it really gave me a strong realization that in that moment, I had a real strong sense of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't have that day to day. And I needed to do something that made me feel like that every single day.
Yeah. And how long after that instance did you make the shift?
A week.
It was that soon?
Yeah.
You just knew that, like, it's almost like you get I don't want to say it's like a drug, right? But it's this feeling of like this purpose, this like doing good, but not on an every once in a while, like I want to do this every single day. And sometimes you don't realize it until you don't realize how important that is until you go into a situation, you know, where we get tempted by the shiny dollar or the big house or whatever the case is, right? Yeah. You can have all this material type stuff, but at the end of the day, is you're not doing something that you really love and you're most passionate about, or puts you in a position to do the things that you love and are most passionate about. It's all pretty empty, and I think that's, you know, it's great to hear that at such a young age, because you were how old when?
22, 23.
22, 23 when you made that shift.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, most people, some people never make that shift, right? And I mean, to have that at 22, 23 years old, to have the insight, to have the wisdom to be like, you know what? And in the big picture, it's so early on in your life.
Yeah.
That you're going to win in the long term. You're 28 years old right now.
Right? Yeah.
So you go into now you're personal training, Equinox.
Yeah.
Go that route. Think everything's solid there.
Yeah, everything was great there, you know. I started a sales and marketing course for all the trainers there. They were killing it. You know, everyone was doing great. I loved my life in LA. Went up to go visit my buddy in Portland who worked in the digital side of things for soccer. Started working out in the gym. Randomly started talking to a few people and got offered a job while I was there.
Yeah.
A month later, I moved from LA.
Yeah. Where you're working at Nike.
Yeah.
Now. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been there for about 4 years now.
Now, that was a pretty quick decision, would you say, right? When you're up there, and how before you had to make the decision, saying, oh, I gotta.
Yeah, I mean, she gave me as much time as I wanted, but I knew exactly where my life was going at Equinox, and there's some allure to, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And I like that.
And would you say that that's part of one of your values? You like the uncertainty. You like the adventure side of.
I do. You know, I think as I start to hone in who I am and what I want, maybe not as much, but I like having a sense of spontaneity.
Yeah. I
love that.
And knowing that, I think, is such a big thing, right? Some people thrive in certainty.
Yeah.
I want to know that this, like, it's consistent, and then some people, and I can definitely relate to this. I same way I thrive in uncertainty and chaos, and just not knowing it, that brings the adventure, the spontaneity, like you said. It brings out the best in some people.
Totally.
I want to ask a question about that,
okay.
Making that decision. how did you differentiate? Because I think this is really important, Max, from a lot of people understand. How did you differentiate the difference of that being an opportunity or that being part of your strategy?
Yeah, I think growing up, wanting to act, I realized that I had to throw a lot of darts at the wall. I've always been someone that has basically just said yes to every single opportunity that comes my way. Mm-hmm. And if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I can always go back, right? At that point, I knew that if I said yes to Nike, didn't have a good opportunity, and didn't have a good time, I could always move back to LA. And the one thing I couldn't live with is not giving myself that opportunity. And so I think it's important to kind of flip all those things. And sometimes the most lucrative option or the thing that seems the safest isn't the right move for you at that time. I'm sure plenty of people out there have had jobs that were offered to them that were triple what they get paid. But maybe that's still not the right move.
And where do most of your decisions come from, your head or your heart?
Man, we talked about this. I love to think that I'm driven by this. I'm in my head 24/7.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah. They're matching up, though. They're getting on the same page.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's, that piece is really important to understand. I think that's one of the biggest things I struggle with, is saying yes to a lot of things, I'm a lot of times an opportunist, and I really need to focus on that strategist, right? Like, how does this line up to exactly what I really want in my life, in my family, in my business, in my health? And sometimes it's tough because like, this seems so shiny, fancy, but it's hard to like. Mm-hmm. And but it's one of those situations when you really weigh out. One of the best questions you ask yourselves. I mean, for me, I don't know what you do, is what's the worst that could happen? Like when you answered it right, saying what's the worst that could happen? I move down to LA and I know I can be successful in X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. And I think that's obviously the best time to take a risk and to take that jump is when you have
such a high upside and such a low downside.
And it's not like I'm forced to do this because I have no other options.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the industry, because I'd love to share your insights from where you started in the industry. And I think you've seen it in a much different perspective, even just from understanding your upbringing, right? Seeing your dad, the bodybuilding, and like that whole world, and to what it is now, it's obviously much different. But just from the time that even you can say from watching your dad or to the time you got into it, how has the industry changed from where you started?
Yeah, I'm lucky in that I think a lot of three-dimensional training, when I first really got into training, was already somewhat prevalent. I know for a lot of people that isn't the case at all. Mm-hmm. And even though we were moving in 3 dimensions, NFL guys were still sitting on like the back-supported bench press and stuff like that, and everything was so selected. And I think people are looking at the whole body as a whole now. And I even talked with one of your clients earlier about this. I think Bruce Lee had such an amazing way of looking at the mind and really tapping into, if you work out 5 days a week at an hour at a day, there's 163 hours of the week that you're not working out. So what can I be doing to maximize every single aspect of my life? Yeah. And I still see, in the next 5 years, it growing exponentially from there, because I think we're starting to learn more about the brain.
Yeah, for sure.
And you look at positive psychology, and you look at mindset training and visual training and stuff like that, and that's stuff that I'm geeking out on pretty hard right now. Yeah.
So you see a big push over that over the next, 3 to 5 years.
I think mental training is going to be huge. Huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have this 16-5-1 type philosophy here, 24 hours in a day, 16 hours in a day. You're in a conscious, ready state. That drives your every decision. Yeah. Right? If you're in a good state, you're going to make good decisions. Starts off on the nutrition side, right? Nobody who had a bad day at work, stressed out, got in a fight with their girlfriend, went home and wanted a
chicken
salad.
And asparagus.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. Or lemon water to feel good, right? It's a large pizza and 2 bottles of wine. So I think it is important. I think people are realizing that it starts between the ears, to lead whatever their actions are. So what do you love most about the industry right now? Or just in general, what do you love most about our industry?
I love, and we talked about this, I love making people find their why. That's the best drug I could get right now, is making people find what is the thing that drives them. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's something that I had to figure out for myself, and when I figured it out, it was such a moment of clarity for myself. And you see people come in thinking that they just wanted to lose a couple pounds, when really there's something so deep underlaying there. And when they finally see it, and when they finally get their first pull-up, or they start to change, or you have a professional athlete that's able to incrementally change something that makes his entire game different.
Yeah.
It's a really, really amazing thing to see.
And what's some of the strategies or tactics that you use on kind of, inspiring people to start to dig deep in those layers?
Yeah, I think I was raised. Both of my parents were also psychologists, so
okay, you got an advantage.
Scary.
Yes,
or a disadvantage,
man. Yeah.
I think the longer you're in this industry, the more you realize that you can't change somebody that doesn't want to be changed,
mm-hmm.
and the more we push, the further away they get pushed.
Yeah.
And just telling them, when you're ready, I'm here for you, and truly meaning it.
Yeah.
And asking the right questions. I want to do this. Okay, well, why do you want to do that? Okay, no, but that's not a real reason. Why do you really want to do that?
Yeah.
What's the real underlying root? Because I don't think people are challenged enough day to day to really answer what is it they truly want in life, and they don't have to answer that question.
Yeah, and that's the hard stuff, right? We talked about this earlier. That's the real work. It's not burpees or getting there throwing dumbbells around. That's just like the things you got to do, but the real work starts internal, and it's uncomfortable because there's layers. When you got to go to layers, there's layers on top of that aren't just 2 months old. It could be 20 years old, from their childhood, and these things are built up. And so, and a lot of times when you get to that why, right, it's like, it's something that's been been suppressed for so long. And
absolutely. And then when you realize what that why is, that burpee all of a sudden is nothing.
Yeah, exactly. What do you like least about our industry? And I'm talking our industry in a whole, the fitness industry. What do you like least about it right now?
I don't like that there's a huge divide between functional and not functional. I think function is dependent on the person. If I'm somebody that picks up my kid every day, maybe doing a bicep curl is functional for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of trainers that look like they need trainers, and then there's a lot of trainers that look like trainers that can't touch their toes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wish more people were open-minded to every single facet of the industry and really okay with, hey, if your thing is bodybuilding and that's what fulfills you and makes you feel amazing and you don't care that you can't touch your toes, right on, brother. That's not my job to change that for you.
Yeah.
So I wish more people were open to other forms of training.
And it's interesting you said that. It's our industry's so our industry's so unique in the sense that it's like clubs. You got your bodybuilding club who, it's like school almost, right? You got your jocks, you got your skaters, you got this, and they all don't like each other for whatever reason, or think that the other one is stupid because it's not what they do, right? Yeah. Bodybuilders don't like Zumba doesn't like CrossFit doesn't like, whatever the case is. And it's really, there's no industry like it where you have so many different subgroups that when each of those groups, because it's very evident, each of those groups feel like what they do is the only way. Yeah. Right? And I think that's, so part of what you're saying is, it's true. There's a lot of different groups and there's a lot of different, I think that's, I almost see it as not so much trying, because I don't know that people are going to try. I just think that it's just respecting. Totally. Just respect each their own, and there's so much of this is wrong, this is right, this is bad, this is this, don't do this. How often do we hear so many, think about any other industry. I've never seen dentists or doctors or, just like in that way.
And at the end of the day, every single exercise is either right or wrong for every single person. Yeah. Is running bad for you? Well, if you have really bad knees and you have horrible form, then running's bad for you. Yeah. But if you don't, then no, it's not bad for you.
Exactly. So anything, anything will work as long as you do it. And anything won't work, right? But I think what it comes down to is I think the real problem is just picking one of those things that you like for you. Not because your neighbor did it, she had success at it, or your buddy did it, he got in shape this way, and then you realize,
And what a great point to hit on is realizing that this is a journey that you take and you take alone. Yeah. And while you'll have other people there with you and supporting you, for me to say that I look at someone and I want their physique, or I want their 40 time, or I want what they do is completely ridiculous. Because I'm never going to be them, and they're never going to be me. And as soon as we all realize that we're one of one, and kind of support that rather than make fun of that.
Yeah. And use the variety to your advantage. I mean, how many times, think about it, how many times have you switched up your training? I can't tell you how many times I went from, throughout my training career, where it was sports, and then it was pump, and it was, you know, bodybuilding.
I started getting back into yoga. Like, my body completely changed differently from that.
When you become open, I think mentally, first is the first part, when you become open to all of these different training methods, you don't have to be all into each one. You can, I think some of the most fit people I know are the best dabblers.
Yeah.
You know, they just tap in each one. I love it. As a coach, what do you feel what do you think people should spend more time on when it comes to living a healthy lifestyle? They should spend more time on that they don't spend as much time on.
So this is something that I'm into right now is I think our society has created this notion that if I achieve success, I will then be a happy human being. And one thing that I'm trying to affect people with is say, let's figure out how to make you happy. And then success will be a byproduct of that. Mm-hmm. They say that positive people are 37% more effective, 31% better at sales. Mm-hmm. And our brain is trainable, right? It's just a computer processor that just processes whatever information we give it. So if I change the information that I'm giving my brain, I'm going to have a different outlook on life. I have a different outlook on life than you do. And so we give ourselves so much negativity and a little bit of positivity that if we just switch what we give ourselves, I think everyone will not only be happier but more successful in every single thing that they do.
I think you hit that nail on the head 100%, right? It's, you know, it's as a byproduct, good things happen.
Yeah.
But but the investment every single day is, you know, the two things you control is your attitude and your enthusiasm.
Right.
Right. And you invest that in every single day. Good things are going to come. With the positive deposit, good things will naturally come. Not, oh, I will be, like you said, how many times when I lose X amount of weight, if I get this, I'll be so much happier. And how many times I've even thought that at times for certain things.
Yeah.
And you get there and you're like, I'm not that much happier.
And what your brain tells your body, you'll do.
Yeah.
Right? Like I heard a study that a chiropractor broke his spine and didn't want to have surgery. So he just laid down and through visualizations, tried to visualize his spine starting to repair itself. Now, it didn't go all the way through. But his spine started to fuse strictly because of what his brain told his body to do.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing thing that we have in between our ears.
Yeah.
And if you spend, I have an alert on my phone. Every day at 7 o'clock, it's what is your positive of the day. Mm-hmm. Every single time at 7 p.m. it turns up. And I just have to think of one thing every single day. Or like in the morning, what's one thing that you're grateful for?
Yeah.
And it could literally be that I have a functioning body. Yeah,
I love it, man. We do the same thing at home with my family. At dinner, we go around the table after we say grace. Everybody goes around the table. Okay, what was your favorite part of the day? And my daughter, 4 years old, and then we get like 5 layers, like second favorite, third favorite, fourth. But it puts the process first.
And then subconsciously throughout the day, you're looking for positive things.
Yeah, it's so true, man. What do you think people should spend less time of?
That's a great question. Last time. Can we come back to that one?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
I'll say looking over the fence.
I think it's a great one.
Looking over at their neighbor.
I think it's an awesome one.
Especially in this industry, right? I think more than ever, and it's not just with people. I think people have always done that, who want to, in anything in their career and want to lose weight. But I think even more trainers now that I've seen more than ever, more coaches feel like they're looking over, I'm not doing this person doing this person doing this, and it's, granted, social media plays a big factor in that.
Absolutely. So maybe the thing they should do less is be on social
media.
Yeah,
exactly.
But it also, it puts a good light on one thing I think they should do less of is trying to control uncontrollable things in their life.
Yeah.
Because some things you just have to be cool with, like, I have no control over this.
Yeah.
Right? We talked about, I've had situations and interviews and stuff, and if you go in and you were prepared and you killed it, once you leave that door, that's an acting thing, right? Once I go into an audition room and I finish and I leave that door, that's out of my mind. That's gone forever.
Yeah.
Because I can't control what happens next.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. What are 3 things that you would tell a client who's just getting started in their pursuit of living their most active, healthy life? There's just 3 things. Like, Just remember these 3 things as you're getting going.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell them?
One is it takes time. And I think everyone knows that, and they just don't want to believe it. There's no magic pill. There's no anything you can do.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take time, but it works.
Yeah.
Just like in any other aspect of life, grit always works.
Yeah.
Just when you think it's time to give up, a little ab starts poking out.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
you know what I mean? You start to feel better. Those jeans start to be a little bit less tight.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your head down and focus on the process rather than the result.
Yeah.
And the result will come pretty quickly, I think. That's one. 2 is, I think every day be thankful the fact that you have the body to do this, right? When I'm doing a burpee, although I hate burpees, what an amazing thing that I have a healthy body to be able to do burpees every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's a remarkable thing, because I guarantee you there are millions of people out there that are sitting in a wheelchair on crutches.
Yeah.
That will never have the opportunity to feel what it feels like to have sweat dripping down your face after a workout like we did twice today.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think finding that gratitude in your body is huge. And then 3 is I would never start something that isn't sustainable. This is a lifestyle. And people that go on those cleanses and all, like if you're doing a cleanse to clean out your body or whatever, knock yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're doing it to lose weight, if you want those shortcuts and those short fixes, in the long run, they never work.
Yeah.
And so I think being okay with that, you really need to be okay with the fact that there are no shortcuts in this game.
I love it. It's great advice. It's great advice, which leads me to my next question. What's the biggest load of BS when it comes to being fit?
More is more.
More is better.
More is better. The Da Vinci quote, simplicity is the ultimate form of sophistication.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of trainers are like, I'm going to make them jump on a Bosu ball and then do a backflip onto a kettlebell and then do a single leg on the top of the kettlebell.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like you see people doing all this wild stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not this, and I think they do that because they want those clients to need them. If I tell you all these wild things, you'll never be good enough on your own.
Yeah.
But if I tell you that it's just push, pull, hinge,
Yep.
then you one day will be good enough to do this on your own.
Yeah.
There's no secret to what this is.
Yeah.
And like what I'm doing, what you're doing, what other trainers are doing, we're not reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
You know, we're just doing intelligent training, and you can teach anybody that.
And it's so interesting, you know, because a lot of trainers say this, you know, when a lot of, you know, trainers and coaches say this, being good enough to do this on your own. And, you know, I've heard people say, if a client is still working with me after 1 year, then I'm not doing my job. And I actually completely disagree with that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're solely working with you to do one particular task over and over, then probably you maybe not educating them or guiding them the right way.
If you're giving them a community.
Yeah, community and inspiration, motivation. A coach has many different roles. You know, a role of a guide, a role of an educator, a role of a motivator. I know I think that becomes the shift between trainer to coach, right? Where coach really sees all aspects of a person's life, and it's and you know when you said that, it really just stuck out because I think a lot of coaches think that way. And I mean, if you're a good coach, people want to be with you. Coaches that I've had for years, I still want to be with them because they provide massive value, more than it may have started from movement, and now it's at a completely different level.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of your quotes that you said earlier, I'm sure whenever you said it, was that your vibe attracts your tribe.
Yeah.
And if you have that same, if you create that strong ethos, you get like-minded people around you, it's really impressive what can be done.
Yeah, 100%. Let me ask you a couple questions about you personally. How do you stay motivated each day? What are the 1 to 3 things that you guarantee you do every day?
So 2 things. One, how do I stay motivated? Well, one is I wake up and I remember what it's like not to feel like I feel right now.
Okay.
Once you've had health, which is your wealth, you know you never want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 is if I don't feel that good about myself, I can't help other people. And like we talked about, that's the drug, right? So if I don't feel good about me, if I don't wake up positive in a positive mindset, I can't help other people.
So what does that look like for you? You got to fill your energy tank up. What are some of the things that you'll do to make sure that you're in peak state before you?
I started doing a lot of breathing and meditation. Not like hippy-dippy meditation, but just centering myself.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, I have an ability to talk to myself 24/7, so just slowing it down.
Yeah.
And if you look at, the Forbes list and all these things, everyone that's really successful in whatever industry that they're in, they all meditate, they all breathe, and they all get really good at it.
Yeah.
So I think that's one massive thing. I think nutrition and hydration, it adds up. You put fuel in your body that's meant for a tricycle and you're trying to drive a Ferrari, it's not going to go very far.
Yeah.
So I think, carbs get a bad rap. You're dumber if you don't eat carbs, like literally, scientifically speaking.
So load up on those pizzas and those bagels.
Yeah, basically, if you get anything from this entire thing,
take away donuts.
Take away, eat carbs. Carbs are okay when they're taken in the right time.
Yeah.
And fats are good.
Yeah.
Sugar is bad.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I think focusing on a holistic nutrition is also really, really important.
I love it. Let me ask you just last 2 to 3 questions.
Yeah.
What do you struggle with as a coach or as an athlete personally?
Patience. Sometimes I forget to meet people where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I struggle with, but I feel like I'm getting better at it.
Okay. What's your purpose? What's your purpose? And why? And why? You talked about why.
Yeah.
And why is that important to you?
I feel like my purpose is to motivate people to realize the potential that they have in themselves. Because I know what it's like not to know how good this feels. And it's a horrible place to be in. And I feel like I'm here to make people more confident in themselves. If as a coach, whether I have a mom or a professional athlete, if I can make you a more confident human being, I've done my job.
Yeah. I love it. Last question. We talk about here at FNS all the time, define your fit. What that means is truly staying in your own lane. What does fitness mean to you? And it's all relative for each person. So the last question that I want to ask you, Max, is how do you define your fit and what does being fit mean to you?
I think it means living a pain-free life. So many people don't want to get better. They just need to get rid of the problems that they already have. And I think some people, if you're a mom, your fit should be, I can play with my kids and run around and do all that stuff and I'm not tired. I don't, every time I squat, feel a pinch in my left hip.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's living a pain-free life is super important. And to me, defining my fit is I want to never be in a situation where someone says, let's do this, and I can't do it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, if I go further, I never want to look in the mirror and not be happy with what's looking back at me.
Yeah. I love it, man. That's summed up in one word. It's freedom, right? Freedom to do what you want, when you want, feel a certain way. And so I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's all I have for you.
I appreciate it, man.
Max Artsis, the absolute legend. Follow this guy. What's your Instagram handle? What is it?
It's at Max Artsis. Super simple.
Wow. I can't even get that. I'd underscore my parts of my name. It just wouldn't work. Yeah.
But there is only one Brian Nunez.
Thank you so much, brother.
Yeah,
we love having you on. We appreciate your insight, your knowledge,
appreciate
your expertise, and it's a pleasure having you today.
Thank you for having me.